Hey everybody, I'm Ash. I work at the Faulkner County Library, which is probably where you've seen me around. I also teach art classes, so if you've been to one of those, you probably know me from that. I also teach make your own comic classes once a month, but this month is October, and it's known as Inktober in the artist community. It's a cool challenge invented by Jake Palmer to kind of brush up your inking skills and challenge yourself to create one inked piece every day. I know that sounds like a lot. The goal is to create a bunch of pieces, learn a lot, and ultimately, mostly you're challenging yourself to use one of the harder mediums since ink is permanent. Since the hardest part of Inktober, other than finishing, is actually starting, I'm going to show you some quick tips on materials, and how to get going on your first piece. Ultimately, if this challenge makes you draw more, then it was a success, so don't burn yourself out doing this. You can't do 31 pieces, fine. Can't do 10, fine. You do 5, great. So we'll get going. So speaking of inking pens that hold up great to water, we have Microns. Micron is actually a brand name. And usually people are referring to Sakura Pigma micron pens, which is what this is. You can find off-brands easily though by just looking for fine liners, but beware because not all fine liners hold up to water. Still, if you're not going to be using any water or extra ink or water brushes at all, then fine liners are a great budget choice considering most art and office companies and their mothers at this point have a fine liner pen now. These offer great control. It's not like the brush pens where you're kind of playing fast and loose. As you can see, every line is going exactly where it needs to. You can also get them in a variety of sizes if you want. This one is actually a pretty thick one. It's an 08, but you can get them very tiny. You can get them needle point. You can also, I think the lowest or the smallest size that they have is an 001, if you can imagine. They also do come in a lot of fun colors. Maybe not quite as fun as gel pens, but you can still get some good options there. There are also actually larger options of these, which I thought I would mention because they also have a brush pen, which is one of the ones I was using earlier. But it will still hold up to water great. I have used these to watercolor an entire piece before and not had so much as a smudge. That's because they're not water soluble. So as you can see, this is great for detail work because even if you have a thicker one like this 08, you could turn it on its side kind of and get little tiny lines. You just also have the option of getting the thicker ones. And unlike brush pens, like I said, you have all that control. And also these don't take very long to dry. So I'm gonna give it just a second, but it's probably ready to go. Not a smudge in sight. And my piece pretty much remained intact also. So now that I've got these other 3 here, I'm gonna show you what kind of pen that I would probably use for them. So for example, this alien here, I would probably use a fun gel pen with a background of a ink wash, an ink wash. So I'm gonna kind of go over that. If I had green, that'd be great, but I genuinely don't have a green. So we're just gonna go with a pink or an orange here. I'm gonna go ahead and leave these outside lines here because I think it adds a cool texture. Let's do both. Going around the eyes here. And then I'm gonna do the others in pink. Now, because I think it'll add something cool, I'm gonna do half the outside in pink here and give them some little glowing effects. Just kind of doing little lines so that it sort of adds a glow. Do the other side in orange, so it's like it has 2 different kinds of light. Just more of those lines. And as you can see, my ink wash isn't even 100% dry, but I can still go over. And this really won't tear into the paper or anything because gel pens usually have ink that's so thick that it just goes right over, and the ball of the pen barely even has to touch the paper. So that's not ready to be erased yet. But we're gonna go ahead and move on to this pumpkin over here, which I'm going to start inking with a Micron because of some of the leaves here. Lots of control, lots of tiny little lines I can get. I'm also going to go ahead and get the top here, give it some texture, like the rough of the stems of the pumpkins. And I'm actually going to go ahead and grab one of my tinier gel pens here so I can get some of the lines in the back of this pumpkin. A lot of people draw pumpkins and all sorts of Halloween stuff for Inktober because it's the season. The outside I want a little thicker, so I'm going to go back to that Micron and use it kind of up to down, like I was showing you here, to get kind of a thicker outside. Since we're here and I have orange, I sometimes like to add just a tiny bit of color to mine. I could actually go in and color it all, but that would take a while even with this, looks like size 10 Sakura. So we'll also erase that one in a second. And for the dog, why don't we go in with that really textured brush pen from before. So it looks like it's got some fur. I always like those dogs that have one ear up and one ear down. Adorable. Be a little more careful with the collar because I don't need as much texture on that. This little heart because dogs love everyone usually. So we're going to go ahead and do a touch test on this alien. I'm just going to lay a finger down and carefully take it back up. Don't see any here. Don't know if I 100% trust it. But let's give it a shot. It also helps if you don't push your eraser really hard over those lines. There we go. Got our little alien here. He's just living his life. Now let's get our pumpkin done. And this just shows you the wide variety you can do with just a couple of these tools at a time. And you can see the fuzziness of this dog here too. Now that you've seen some of the different kinds of pens you can use, feel free to give them all a try. If you're still nervous, try out a ballpoint on some copy or notebook paper and just see how it feels. This month, the library is actually going to be hosting draw meets for ages 10 and up, which is basically where artists get together and draw and offer support to each other. And for those of you who are going to be trying the Inktober challenge, that's going to be an awesome way to keep up. Join us on Tuesdays at the library from 4 to 7 if you're going to take part, and we can support each other. We're also going to be hosting a drawing challenge and have our own themes, which are right here. From the 1st to the 6th, you see we have Haunted House, 7th through 13th, Fantasy Familiar, 14th through 19th, Creepy Candy, 20th through 25th, Mysterious Monster. I have a little Mothman here because I love him. And 26th through 31st, we have Paranormal Pumpkin. If you want to upload your piece and enter our contest, tag us on Instagram or Facebook, and be sure to use the hashtag FCL Inktober to make sure we see it. There will be prizes, and since anyone 10 and up can enter, us adults are going to have to work hard to beat the kids because we're going to be picking the most creative pieces as our winners. Kids, be sure to have your parents watch this part of the video so they know the process and we can see your art. Happy inking, everybody. Hope to see you soon.